Okay, so imagine you have a choice, a real once-in-a-lifetime, or rather, once-in-an-eternity choice, to live forever. Now, it sounds like the ultimate dream come true, right? But what if it's actually the ultimate trap? Today, we're going to dive into a classic thought experiment that really makes you question what a meaningful life is all about.
All right, picture this. You're up in your eccentric uncle's attic. It's dusty. It's full of forgotten treasures. You know, the classic start to any good adventure story.
And then you see it, tucked away inside an old wooden chest. You find this small bottle. And inside is this sparkling, almost magical-looking liquid. There's a little tag tied to it, and it makes a very specific and, well, a very permanent promise.
So here are the terms and conditions, the fine print. First, your age gets locked in, right now, as you are. You also become totally immune to disease and any serious injuries. But the last 2 points, that's where it gets really intense. It is absolutely irreversible, and you're signing up to exist until the literal end of time, the heat death of the universe. There are no takebacks, no escape clause.
So there it is, just shimmering in your hand. The offer is on the table, and the only question left, the really big one, is, do you drink it?
I mean, the appeal is huge, right? An endless life means endless possibilities. You could do anything, go anywhere, become anyone you've ever wanted to be. All that anxiety we have about running out of time, poof, gone. But you have to wonder, is it really that simple?
And that brings us to our first major roadblock on this path to eternal bliss. It's the very real, very scary possibility that forever would just become unbelievably, soul-crushingly boring.
This argument was famously made by the British ethicist Bernard Williams. This was a philosopher who spent a ton of time thinking about what actually makes life worth living. And he was convinced that despite how good it sounds at first, an endless life would eventually suck all the joy and all the meaning out of everything we experience.
So he illustrates his point with something he calls the truffle test. And it's brilliant. That first chocolate truffle you eat, it's pure heaven. The 16th one? Not so much. That's the law of diminishing returns right there. Now, just imagine eating truffles every single day. Eventually, you'd get sick of them. You'd probably hate them. Williams says that all of life's pleasures, from your favorite meal to your most important relationships, would eventually become like that 16th truffle, except stretched out over billions and billions of years.
But you know, not everyone buys the boredom argument. The counter-argument says, hang on a second, an immortal life wouldn't have to be a repetitive loop. It could be an ever-expanding, never-ending list of new things to do and experience.
Okay, so let's put this debate side by side. On one hand, you've got Williams, saying you just run out of things to do, and the repetition would become a kind of torture. But then another philosopher, John Martin Fisher, pushes back. He says, look, some simple pleasures, like watching a beautiful sunset, they might never get old. Plus, and this is a great point, given enough time, we'd forget stuff. We could rediscover our favorite books, music, and places as if it were the first time, over and over again.
And building on that, Fisher says an immortal's to-do list would basically be infinite. I mean, just think about it. You could try to read every single book ever written, plus keep up with all the new ones. That's a task you could never actually finish. You could master every musical instrument, or dedicate a few millennia to helping humanity, a goal that would constantly be changing. Or you could just reinvent yourself again and again, a painter for a century, then an astronaut, then a chef, then a farmer. Why not?
So, okay, maybe boredom isn't the deal breaker we thought it was, but the arguments against immortality get much, much deeper than that. Let's look at the really profound philosophical costs of living forever.
Bernard Williams comes back with a second point, and honestly, this one is pretty unsettling. Imagine you're 5,000 years old. You've reinvented yourself dozens of times. Would the person living your life have anything in common with the you of today? Your values, your goals, even your most important memories. They'd all be different. And that leads to the really crucial question here. If you change so completely, is your continued survival even a win for you? Or did the person who originally drank that potion effectively die thousands of years ago, replaced by a total stranger who just happens to be using their body?
This brings us to our final big idea, which comes from the philosopher Samuel Scheffler. He talks about how our awareness of death is what shapes our values. He calls it temporal scarcity. It's a simple idea, but it's incredibly powerful. Basically, things matter to us because our time is limited. I mean, think about it, right? The fact that life is finite is what drives us. It's the ultimate deadline. It forces us to make choices. It makes us decide what's important, who we want to spend our time with, what projects are actually worth doing. If you take away that deadline, if you take away that scarcity, the entire framework that gives our lives meaning might just crumble. Why do anything today if you literally have an infinite number of tomorrows?
And so, we've come full circle. We've seen the incredible promise of an endless horizon. We've faced the threat of unbearable boredom. We've grappled with the problem of who you even are over time. And we've considered the possibility that meaning itself could just disappear. The potion is still there. It's in your hand. You've heard the arguments, for and against. Is eternal life a blessing you should grab with both hands, or is it a curse to be avoided at all costs? The choice is yours. What are you going to do?